Hey, good afternoon, and welcome to the Jump Seat. First day of October. Man, this year is flying by, I tell you. I'm glad to have you guys here today and have a great show lined up here with another great guest. Actually, a guest who's been with us before on the Jump Seat, and we're going to share a little bit more on some of his research as well as some other beneficial educational material here in the fire service. Um, a lot has happened since I was last with you. I had a special edition jump seat with 9/11 was our last show, and took a little break there over the last couple of weeks. Glad to be back here on Friday as usual, and I'm glad to see you guys all tuning in here as well. Those of you who might be watching the jump seat for the very first time, it's a bi-weekly spotlight bringing you key industry thought leaders, subject matter experts, and next gen insights affecting you and your departments. It's hosted by myself, David Durstein, a firefighter in Central Ohio, as well as a member of the IDEX Fire and Safety team. And, we take the occasional look behind the scenes at 200 plus years of the fire service tradition, design, and manufacturing of today's products. And today we're going to bring you a thought leader and an expert in this industry in his own space, and really doing some awesome work. But before we go into the jump seat directly, I kind of want to showcase something that happened here just this week. And it really I caught this news piece here. I think it maybe came out on Firehouse's daily feed, but it resonated with me, and really with a lesson I had learned from a good friend of mine in the past. So I'm going to actually share this news clip with you. It comes to us out of Billings, Montana, and I'll be back in one quick second to talk more.
A firefighter sat here on Wednesday night reading a book to a little girl as emergency crews cleared up an accident here on Broadwater Avenue and 2nd Avenue North. Now, a picture of that has been posted on Instagram, and it's been reposted with a lot of comments made. We had a chance to talk with one of the firefighters' co-workers.
We're going to take care of the job we're doing there first. That's our first priority. But there's a lot of times after, like the story you saw in the social media post, that firefighter, Ryan, he was there. They were cleaning up the car accident, and so he took it upon himself to take the time to make those kids feel safe.
Cameron Abel talks about Ryan Benton, who chose not to talk about the picture.
Ryan's a really humble guy, and he's probably going to kill me for kind of putting him on the spotlight, but he did great work that day, and he said he didn't want to be on the interview because that's his job, and he's just doing his job. And that's kind of how we all feel, but we all know when somebody does something like that and gets spotlighted for it, it's good to recognize their good work.
Abel says there has always been something to give the kids, and the Rimrock Credit Union and Usborne Books have supplied the book bags for about 3 years.
Give them the whole kit. The book bags were an idea to bring some calm into their lives, to bring some sensibility into a really stressful situation. There's a lot that goes on that they may not understand, or they're just overwhelmed by. And so if we can bring a book in that kind of explains what complicated situations are, kind of explains what firefighters do, and maybe there's a stuffed plush toy in there, just kind of the combination of that kind of can bring them some sense of normalcy in a really terrible situation sometimes for them. Something that we deal with on a day in and day out basis that parents may not be able to cope with yet because they're also going through the same situation. The sense of calm that maybe we can bring to the children can help the adults calm down as well.
In Billings, David J., MTN News.
So it's a great story there coming out of Billings, and I want to thanks to the news crew for doing that story. And really, watching that really kind of brought back a lesson I got from a really good friend of mine in the fire service, and kind of one of the godfathers in the fire service, Chief Alan Brunacini. And there was a number of things that came out of that story right there. And if you guys haven't seen it, check it out. So I think it was on the Firehouse Daily News feed. But to the Billings, Montana Fire Department and Ryan Benton, I salute you guys. Great job, great work out there. But back to Chief Brunacini's story, and I remember him asking me some questions at dinner one time. It was just the two of us talking there, and he said, Dave, we need to be in the fire service more like hospice. And I actually remember sitting there thinking, hospice? What are you talking about, Chief? And of course, at that time, he actually had been asking me about, my last structure fire that I was on, and how was I feeling as a firefighter, and what was my role, and what do I do, and were we excited, and all that good stuff. And he reminded me that as we get off the truck, and yeah, it might be a working structure fire. In this case, out of Billings, it was a car accident. But it's a tragedy for the family. It's a tragedy for those people involved. And we need to do more to actually calm them, or actually care for the family, similar to what hospice does in really one of those dire situations with a family member, a loved one, things of that nature. And that really reminded me of that message that Chief Bernasini left me with, saying, "Hey, it's not always about you guys being cowboys, having fun, fighting a fire. There's other people who are impacted here in a negative way. What are you doing to comfort them? What are you doing to calm them in this process?" So the book bags, great idea. So hats off to the Billings Fire Department and your sponsors who helped make that happen. That's a great thing. I know my department, we carry stuffed animals and give to the kids, things of that nature. Many of you probably do similar things as well. Would love to hear what you guys do, and all that as well. And then really, once again, back to Firefighter Benton. Thanks for taking the time, settling down with the kid and reading there along the side of the roadway. And with that, Roger, thanks for joining us from Southeast Alaska. Love hearing from you all. If you're watching us today, feel free to throw your questions up as we go on, as well as where you're actually watching or viewing us from. If you put it into the comments field down below, we can actually see it here live, and we'll try to get to as many questions as we can live and on the air. So I've killed a few minutes of the intro here, really talking about that awesome story in Montana, but I want to get to the meat of the jump seat today. I want to actually go in and bring in our guest, who is actually, this is his fourth time on the jump seat. Gary, welcome back. It's a little different role for you this time in the jump seat here. But for those of you guys watching, this is Gary Baum. He is with the Reddick Fire District in Illinois, as well as president of the AFOAM Authority. And so Gary's joined us today as the president of AFOAM. And we're glad to have you here again in the jump seat. Thanks for joining us, Gary.
Thanks for having me, David.
So, Gary, maybe for those folks who are watching, you didn't catch your three-part series with us on foam from the end of last season. Maybe give us a little snippet about who you are and how you got into this firefighting gig and foam in particular.
Sure. So by trade, I'm a high school teacher. I'm in my 31st year of doing that. And of that, the last 16, I've run a high school, basically firefighter academy, where our students do firefighter 1 type training and some other certification level trainings. Prior to that, I taught freshman science. So I have a science background, and I also have a physical education background. It's actually my bachelor's is in phys ed. I got into the fire service in 2001, and it kind of helped me put together all the stuff that I used to teach to the students in regards to chemistry and physics. You can now apply it. So much of it applies to the fire service. And then I started getting involved in understanding firefighting foams. And the more I got into it, the more I learned, the more it started turning the wheels. And as I began to read about the chemical characteristics of Class A foam concentrates and its affinity to carbon, I started to put together the theory that, hey, if it has such a strong affinity to carbon, will it also have the same affinity to carcinogens that are hydrocarbon based? And can we use this Class A foam to scrub hydrocarbons out of smoke? And that's really pretty much what's got us to this point. Through some fire service professionals engaged in an organization called the AFOAM Authority, have went down to Texas in 2019, did a symposium down there in Johnson County, and have been with the organization since, and then just recently was elected president of the AFOAM Authority. And I'm here to talk about the AFOAM Authority, some of the stuff that we've got going on, and our symposium coming up in April of 2022.
I think, I happen to be, part of, I would say, the beginnings of the AFOAM Authority and some of those initial discussions. It seems like eons ago now, Gary, and it's great to see the organization progress in the way it has, and obviously moving towards the symposium and things of that nature here. So, for those of you guys who don't know about the AFOAM Authority, right at the bottom of the screen there, feel free to check out more on the AFOAM Authority or become a member yourself. And I think, help me really quick, members don't have to be fire departments. It can be individuals, correct, Gary?
Correct. Yeah,
so
you go on, there is a membership to sign up, and then that membership comes to my email address, and then I'll reach out to the people that sign up. And then I'm there for any questions that they'll have going forward. So, and just understand our website is a work in progress. So bear with us.
Yeah, it's everything's getting started right now, and obviously a great point of change, and a reflection for the AFOAM Authority and movement into these educational pieces as it continues to grow and develop here. So tell us more a little bit about, I think there's two pieces to this symposium that you have. You have a road show that's starting off here, and then the symposium you mentioned there in April of next year. So maybe, what are people going to be learning about maybe on the road show, which I think has a really kind of a cool aspect of things, a Clean Works tour,
Yep.
right? And so what are you going to learn at the road show, and what should we expect at the symposium?
Certainly. So Clean Work concept. I stole the title from the Dutch fire service. My ties with Holland through Marco van Holst, who did the first ICAF symposium in the Netherlands in 2018. I've kept in contact with him. He reached out and asked me to do an article. And in Holland, the concept of firefighter hygiene and carcinogen reduction is called Clean Work. It's a great title, and so I've been using that here to explain it. So what the Traveling Roadshow is, it's a shortened version of what you'll get in the symposium next spring, but it focuses on firefighter cancer awareness, and in particular looking at ways to reduce exposures. And a lot of it is technical, because of the technical components behind alternative suppression agents, but also too, it's a cultural change, because it talks about a way to do business that maybe we're not used to. The other thing we talk about is the post-suppression environment in regards to even PPE decon, monitoring in the post-suppression environment. And now the new piece under the AFOAM, as you and I were talking about for the show, David, is the new green Bs, the new Class B foams that are coming out that are fluorine free. And obviously how that is going to impact the American Fire Service going forward. So that's it in a big loop. We're looking to, like I said, do one. Our first one is Friday, October 15th in Dubuque. It's tied into a pre-existing conference a friend of mine is running through the community college there in Dubuque. And so we're just, trying to tie into pre-existing conferences that would be interested in this instead of trying to start our own. And then hopefully create enough interest that they would want to come in and get the full conference, the full symposium, to get a better depth of it, and also where we would have hands-on application for firefighters to come and actually practice the stuff that we're talking about in our programs.
So
that's the Traveling Roadshow.
Traveling Roadshow, and obviously the first one in Dubuque here, and really in 14 days, which is right around the corner. If folks are watching and they want to learn more about that, what should they do, Gary? How should they get more information if they want to go to Dubuque, or they want to go to future ones as well?
Well, right now the one that we have scheduled for Dubuque is at the Northeast Iowa Community College, and you can go to www.nicc.edu/fire EMS, and that will take them to the website for all the information. It's a pre-existing conference. They have a fire and an EMS track, and our part is going to be on Friday, and that's the Clean Work Tour.
And that Clean Work Tour is how long is that? Is it a 2-hour class, a 4-hour class?
It's going to be a full day, about 6 hours of of classroom, and we'll be out actually out in the parking lot. We're in the process of building a small little burn cell where we can heat up some oriented strand board and produce some benzene. And we'll have a meter for them, and then you'll get to see what happens when you use just water to put out the fire, or what it looks like when you use Class A foam in a compressed air foam system application. So,
Gary, do me one more favor. Give me that website again. If they want to go see this in Dubuque, it's
nicc.edu/fire EMS. Let me put it down here in the chat. How does that work?
I was actually just going to do that, right? So that's why I had you do it. So it should be actually be in the chat. For those of you who are in fact viewing, you'll catch that in all the lines here at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to grab that link and go check it out. If you are going to be in the Iowa area here in the next 14 days and want to grab that class, as well as I'm sure many other good training pieces of the puzzle at that same school.
Yeah, and not just because it's my friend putting it on, it is a really nice little conference. It's held right by the casino in the conference center. It's attached to a hotel. And it's in a really nice area. It's right on the Mississippi River. So it's really pretty. Yep.
Awesome. Well, Gary, I think one of the other big things too that, as you and I have talked many times, and when we were here, back in December chatting, we talked a lot about foam as a whole and some of the misconceptions with foam. And I know you and I could spend all day in this discussion, and I don't want to get into that, but maybe just to tip off some intriguing pieces for our viewers, what would you say are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have about foam or see with foam?
Sure. I mean, the biggest one right now is being caused by the commercials on television that, have tied fluorine to firefighter cancers and the lawsuits that are going. My understanding there, the research doesn't really link that, but, nevertheless, the fluorinated surfactants that go in, I guess we would call the current fluorine-based Class B foams. Again, Class B foams for flammable liquid fires have fluorine in them. And so that's a big piece. So there is a difference between Class B.
Hoping you were going to hit on, I'm glad you did, because there is a distinct difference. And, I think those of us who, from the foam research side of things or understanding of how foams work, know that commercial, how untrue it is, that it makes people perceive that all foam is bad, that all foams create this issue, not B's versus A's and or variabilities from there within as well.
Right. And so, I mean, as we know, states across the country are putting in differing levels of usage on, use of fluorinated foams. For emergency purposes only, it makes sense that you would not use it for training, those kind of things. Some states have just flat outlawed it or banned it. Others have, you can still use it in emergency situations, but you need to keep track of how much you use and you have a reporting system behind it. But eventually it's all going to get phased out. I have that feeling. I think the industry feels that too. It's just, when is that magic date? FAA is moving in that direction. The military is moving away from those foams. And then the big one, as we've talked just a little while ago, Dave, is, the new the non-fluorinated Class B foams that are coming online. And there's going to be a big educational curve on that going forward, because the fluorine is gone. So if the fluorine is gone, the film is gone. So you're not going to have the aqueous film forming foam anymore, and you'll have to know that. And the other thing too is that compatibility is going to change, because the chemical makeup of those new green foams is nothing like what we've seen in the old fluorinated surfactant Class B. So it's the reason why the A foam, we're moving forward with this piece, is to educate the fire service on firefighting foam concentrates. And it's not just A foam anymore. It has to be all of it.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. And I know, part of the A foams message there initially, and like I said, this goes back, I can't remember the year it actually started, but I remember Janet Wilmoth. Janet, if you're watching, thumbs up. Look at it, how the A foam has migrated from that vision you had. It's probably been 10, 12 years ago. And it's good to see some of the folks that I sat around the table with there during that same time in Chicago here eons ago brainstorming the concept of a foam authority are coming to fruition, and that they've been involved in driving it to where it is today. So I think Keith Clausen is still.
Yep. Yeah. Keith is the vice president. He and I switched roles in May. He's my sounding board on a lot of issues. All the people involved in AFOAM are just first class professionals, extremely knowledgeable. Everybody brings a little bit something different to the table, whether it's, you're an expert on foam systems, or you're in the foam concentrate industry, or you're, is simply into the manufacturers of foam application equipment. So it's pretty good. And to be honest with you, I continue to learn every day about stuff. And of course, my science background, that only feeds the hunger as you learn more and more about the geeky stuff behind it.
So one more time, we're hitting the road. There's going to be a traveling road show. We're starting off here in 2 weeks on the 15th of October in Dubuque, Iowa. But there'll be additional events coming up and information available on the website, correct?
Yeah, as those come available, we'll post those. Or if you're interested in having a traveling road show come to your area, you can reach me. And I'll put my email address up here in a minute. You can reach me out, and we can certainly work something out. We keep it very low cost. Only thing we ask to recover is our expenses. Obviously, I have a full-time job, so weekends work. But I think that works out real well for, the volunteer part-time firefighter side as well. So that's, we're doing one on a Friday, but there's no reason why we couldn't do something on a weekend day going forward. So, and then obviously it's, I got a big trailer. We put our CAFS unit and our extra foam and some other stuff on it, and we go on down the road. So trying to get it, just, again, it's awareness, education, training, and an understanding of these suppression agents.
So Gary, I got to ask really quick, because you were going to throw your email up there. I'm gonna beat you to it. But what email address do you want them to reach out to you at? The Reddick Fire?
Yeah, I'm giving them the Reddick Fire one right now.
Awesome. So for those of you who are in fact watching right now, if you want to get a hold of Gary, it's gbaum@reddickfire.com. Feel free to reach out to Gary directly if you would like. You can find more about the AFOAM Authority and this Clean Works Tour at their website, afoam.org. And is there a date set on the symposium? And is it,
yes,
is it 2-day symposium in April?
It's going to start on the evening of Friday, April 22nd. And that will be a short evening. It'll be a couple of keynote presentations, and there'll be some light hors d'oeuvres and food that night. Basically kind of a small social. Saturday is the bulk of the day. That's going to be the full day, and then Sunday morning. So works out to basically be 2 days stretched out over 3. We've picked the weekend of Friday, April 22nd, because that's the weekend in front of FDIC in Indianapolis. And we know a lot of people are going to be traveling in that direction anyway for the show, for whatever reason, or the event. And we just kind of hope that, hey, they might come a couple of days earlier and join us at the symposium. And again, the plan is for it to be a hands-on event.
And it's going to be where again?
It's in Reddick, Illinois, which is about an hour and a half southwest of Chicago. So any of the airports that service Chicago, O'Hare, Midway are doable. But if you're flying into Indianapolis, we're only a couple hours from Indy as well. So the nice thing about Reddick, it's out in the middle of nowhere. It's a very small town. The fire department actually occupies the old school building, so we have plenty of room, and we'll have our training center up and ready to go by then, where we can actually do some stuff. And then, so that's just clean work. Also at the symposium, we're going to have an EVT component for those that want to come in and learn about their systems that they have and how to maintain, repair, spec. If you're looking to spec a system, we'll have that as well. That's going to be there. And then we're also in the process of potentially doing a complete retrofit on actually it's the Reddick Fire Department's 3,300 gallon pumper tanker. We're going to do a complete retrofit on it and add a Class A foam system with caps. That's our goal. And that will make one amazing firefighting, I call it a battleship. If you take 3,300 gallons of water and turn that into calves, you do the math, that's like 10,000 gallons of suppression agent. And so really excited about hopefully getting that done as well. So.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Gary, I want to say thank you so much for joining us here in the Jump Seat again. I love the work that you and the rest of the team are doing with the AFOAM Authority. I think it's great, and I was glad to actually help showcase it here today. For those of you who are watching, do me a favor and hit the like button at the bottom, but also share this, because I think Gary's done some great work. The team at the AFOAM Authority has done some great work, and help get the message out on their clean work tour. Really quick, maybe before we jump off, Gary, when you were with us back in December, we did a 3-part series on some of the research that you were doing around carcinogens and the reduction of carcinogens by utilizing foam as such. Maybe just give us a quick little snippet. How's your research progressing? Where are you heading? And, give us a 30-second insight to how the progress has come since December.
Sure. So we did some more test burns Memorial Day weekend, and we used a different system and a different brand, and again seen similar results in regards to benzene reduction. So again, going back to the fire triangle, if you're using water only, the only thing water does is removes heat from that, and of course all the unburnt fuel particles we call smoke, which today's fuel environment is heavily concentrated in carcinogens. And basically, when you cool the environment, you can't change physics, you can't change chemistry. All that stuff is coming right down onto the floor. What we have done with our, dozens, if not 100 test burns, is to show that when you inject Class A foam, hydrocarbon-based surfactant, it has affinity for hydrocarbons, carcinogens. It scrubs the smoke. It pulls the carcinogens out, and it reduces it to a level that you've seen the numbers in December, Dave. It's amazing, to the point where I would say it's like jaw dropping. So we did some of that in May. Right now, we are beginning to look at some different avenues of research. Some of it is going to focus around the new green B foams, which are environmentally friendly, non-fluorinated, to see if they will also have similar results, because not only do they have a Class B listing or certification, they are now carrying a wetting agent classification through NFPA. So we're going to see, hey, if you're running, Class B foam, can we use it on Class A fires and have, like results in regards to our carcinogen reduction? So that's on that docket as well. And that's going to fall into the Clean Work Traveling Roadshow as well. And then, of course, eventually getting to where you're using alternative foam generating systems, whether it's you just have an onboard bypass eductor, or you have just Class A foam only, or if you're stepped on and you're using the ultra high pressure systems, what is that going to look like in your post-fire suppression environment? The other thing that we constantly look at is, and we'll discuss at the symposium and our traveling road shows, is monitoring the post-fire environment. Using your carbon monoxide and hydrogen cyanide meters does not work to tell your crews that it's okay to take their masks off. Those instruments are not designed for that workload, and we have the evidence to show why. So, and then of course educating people on the new green B foams, as that is going to continue to be a dynamic here in the United States. So there's a lot of moving parts, and still looking at PPE decon, going forward. So
folks, if you haven't figured out, Gary is dipping his feet into a lot of different places, but has a lot of great research and is doing a lot of great work. And I know, I need to just throw it out there again. Gary's contacts are right down here. If you're interested in knowing more about it, I'm sure you can reach out to him, and he would be more than happy to share insight. He'd be more than happy to share opportunities to educate additional folks on it, as well as I think you're always looking for funds or continued support in your research. And so if you got a couple bucks and you want to throw it into the research of carcinogens reductions and battling the cancer aspect of the fire service with foam. Gary is actually your man there, and I say you wouldn't find a better cause to throw some at. So, Gary, thank you so much for being on the Jump Seat again. Good luck with the AFOAM Authority and your road show, and I look forward to having you back here again in the future where we can maybe talk about the progress you're making in the research, and maybe even the progress AFOAM was making in the educational series.
Would love to do that.
All right, Gary, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. For those of you all joining us here today for the first time, I hope you enjoyed your first episode of the Jump Seat. For those of you who are back again, thank you so much for being here. I love hearing your ideas and suggestions for future shows and things you want to hear or see in the fire service. Feel free to post them in the comments below or email me directly, ddurstein@idexcorp.com. As always, we love having you. Please join us again in 2 weeks. We're going to come to you on the 15th, so Friday the 15th. It happens to be the same time as the AFOAM's kickoff to their Clean Works tour there in Dubuque, Iowa. Thank you for joining us. Please tune in next time on the 15th. As always, you can like us, and I'd love it if you shared us, each and every one of you viewing us here today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll catch you again here in 2 weeks on the Jump Seat.